Hello, I am Pamela Ujadughele. I am in class 3B. Today I am going to tell you about the civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was best known for his nonviolent protests and speeches calling for equality for all people. He was born on January 15, 1920 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the second of 3 children and was born to a Baptist preacher. At the time, less than 70 years after slavery was made illegal in the United States and things were so hard for Black Americans, many people were unhappy when slavery ended. And lawmakers in some places made special rules to keep white people and Black people apart. People of different races had to use different drinking fountains, bathrooms, and even different schools. This separation was called segregation. Young Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in this atmosphere, and he attended a segregated school where he did so well that he was able to skip 2 grades and graduated at the age of 15, after which he studied at Morehouse College and he graduated with a degree in sociology in 1948. He had decided to become a minister like his father, and he went to the seminary to study religion. In 1951, he graduated from the seminary as the top in his class. He was a genius. On June 18, 1953, King married Coretta Scott, and they had 4 children. He continued his education by studying for his doctorate at Boston College. In 1954, he became a pastor of his church, and in 1955 he received his PhD when he was only 25 years old. Like I said before, he was a genius. Wow. The major accomplishments of Martin Luther King Jr. He led the Montgomery boycott on December 1st, 1955. An African American woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white person and was arrested due to racial segregation law. Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders organized a boycott of the bus system. This meant that the people who wanted things to change would stop riding the bus. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted over a year, and so many people refused to ride the buses that the bus companies lost a lot of money. In December of 1996, the Supreme Court ruled that segregated buses were unconstitutional. This was a major victory for the civil rights movement, and it proved that peaceful methods could create a change. However, many people were upset by the changes that were happening, and he was nationally recognized after his part in the bus boycott. He was jailed over 20 times, stabbed, and his house got bombed, but he never stopped calling for equality. He led the Birmingham campaign when Black citizens faced discrimination. In the early 1963s, King started a movement against this, which was known as the Birmingham Campaign. He organized the Great March in Washington for Jobs and Freedom. On August 28, 1963, it was a resounding success with over 250,000 participants. His speech intensified the civil rights movement. During the march in Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the famous I Have a Dream speech. He was the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. On October 14, 1964, King received the Nobel Peace Prize for leading nonviolent resistance to racial prejudice. He was the first president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or the SCLC. In 1957, he coordinated their efforts. He was behind African Americans getting basic civil rights. He led many marches for the voting right of blacks, desegregation, labor rights, and other basic civil rights. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the 1965 Voting Rights Act were passed, and most of these rights were enacted into law. He achieved success using non-violent methods of protest. He gave his final speech on April 3, 1968. The next day, while he was standing on his hotel balcony, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed. He was only 39 years old. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill creating a national holiday to remember King's life and accomplishments. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is celebrated on the third Monday every January in honor of the man whose dream of peace and equality helped change the nation. I hope you enjoyed learning about Martin Luther King Jr. today. Goodbye till next time.